You guys, welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if you're new. We talk about basically everything on this channel, so let's jump into it. The almighty cell phone, or smartphone to be specific. When I was a kid, it was a real privilege to be able to have a phone, let alone any kind of phone that was deemed smart. Now I'm taking you guys back to 2005, where we did have smartphones, but they ran on mostly 2G networks, applications weren't really a thing, and MySpace was pretty much the most dominant social media platform. But back during that time, very few people have what you would call a smartphone. Keep in mind, the iPhone wasn't released until 2007, so we basically had like Palm Pilots and Blackberries. And those type of phones were pushed towards like business people. They weren't really pushed to the everyday person. And cellular internet was mostly a joke. I mean, the most you can do is maybe send an email at best. You're not trying to surf the internet all day. Fast forward a couple years and now I'm 17 and the first iPhone gets released, and what do I get? I get the BlackBerry Storm. Facebook was kind of newish at the time. I mean, it's been around for a while, but it was gaining popularity by this time, and MySpace was 100% dying. But by this time, this is my last year in high school, and nobody still had these phones. These are still super expensive and very much out of most people's price ranges. Very few people saw the benefit in having a smartphone at this point, mainly because the cameras still sucked and the internet was barely passable. Fast forward a couple more years in 2011, and I get the Droid Bionic, which I'm pretty sure was the first 4G phone in the United States. It was amazing, blazing fast. Still terrible cameras, but at least we had the internet and we actually had a pretty good amount of apps at this point as well. I remember actually thinking when I got that phone, how wild it would have been to have that phone back when I was in high school. I wouldn't have gotten shit done at all. I mean, don't get me wrong, a lot of us were texting each other while we were in class, but I could not imagine having the apps we have nowadays back then. I would have struggled in school thinking back on 15-year-old me. That being said, let's hop into the headline of the story. Orange County bans students from carrying cell phones in pockets. Here's why. New policy requires students to store phones in backpacks and purses. The Orange County School Board approved a revised student code of conduct on Tuesday for the 2023-2024 academic year. One portion of the code is a cell phone policy, which says that students aren't allowed to use cell phones during the school day. Instead, students must keep them in a backpack or purse. The decision removed the back pocket as an option. Parent Judy Hayes had other concerns. I certainly appreciate the amount of blood, sweat, and tears that went into crafting this policy. However, just a cursory glance at the policy reveals a glaring omission, she said. After hearing from Hayes, the board voted to include an exception in the policy for students with health conditions. The board will continue to monitor the effects of this new cell phone policy during the upcoming semester. Now, I don't know if they're referring to health issues such as like diabetes, where people are now able to use things like Dexcom G7s or Freestyle Libre 3s and use their phone to be able to read their blood sugar in real time. But the thing is, both of these companies make versions where they actually have an independent transmitter, so you can actually read your blood sugars without your cell phone. It's an independent device that connects to it. If you are using a Dexcom G7 or a Freestyle Libre 3, okay, I understand. They are fantastic products. It's less things you have to carry because you don't have to have an independent transmitter in order to read your blood sugar. But what I am going to say is you have options. It's not as if these companies, these very popular companies, don't make other options that require that you have your cell phone. Now, they did bring up a potential issue, but you can't fault me for finding the answer to that issue. Now, from here, I want to go over this tweet from Robbie Starbuck. And from there, let's hop into the video that is attached to this tweet.
A Florida school district has banned cell phones for the entire school day. This went into effect in September in Orlando's Orange County Public School System. 264 schools and 200,000 students have to follow this ban.
Wow.
So not only can students not use phones during class, they can't use them during breaks. They have to keep them in their backpacks, not their pockets. There's a we see it, we take it policy. And on the first day, more than 100 phones were confiscated from students. In the following days, confiscations dropped dramatically. This school district has seen a drop in bullying, a rise in student engagement.
Wow.
Teachers report that there's been a newfound life injected into their classrooms.
I'm not surprised.
Students are more talkative and more collaborative. So I wonder, what do you guys think about this no phone policy in schools?
I think it's absolutely brilliant, and the results are speaking for themselves. Is it obviously going to be rough for the first little while? Is there going to be a little bit of backlash? 100%. But I see removing cell phones, but particularly smartphones, and I'm going to circle back to that in just a second. I see it as a universal win. You can 100% see why people will actually start engaging and talking with each other, because what else is there? And with that, you are absolutely going to see a lot more kids happier, a lot more engaged, engage, a lot more willing to actually get together and have a conversation with somebody else instead of getting online and essentially wasting your time. Now, I understand the utility of the internet. I'm not dumb. I understand there's a bunch of information out there that can be very useful to a student. Now, I'm not entirely on board with this in the sense of removing all phones. I think having, say, a feature phone or a dumb phone, as they call it, actually still makes sense in this setting. Will kids still be able to text each other? Sure, but they're not going to be accessing things like Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, and all the other social media platforms. It's only going to be basically phone calls and text messages. That's it. And in an emergency situation, it's kind of nice to have the option to be able to contact, say, a parent or authorities, depending on the situation. You never know what's going to happen. But it is certainly never an emergency to check that new snap you got from Betty down the hallway. But I don't know, you guys, maybe all this is too much. Maybe removing cell phones from classroom in general is a step too far. But me sitting here considering the positives and the negatives of doing this, the positives definitely are outweighing the negatives. There's no question about it. Maybe there's some other benefits that I am failing to see, but otherwise, again, I see this as a net positive. And I'm going to end the video here, you guys. And as always, please do not forget to hit the like or that dislike button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you hopefully get notified every time I post a new video. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.